It looks like
Let you
we,
have it. I believe we have seven commissioners here.
4, 5. I count 5.
and
Seven.
and we are live streaming.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Do we have 7? I count 5.
We have seven. We have Gretchen's here, Cecily's here, Demetrius is here.
I didn't see
Demetrius
Cecily
is
and
here.
Demetrius.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Now I see Demetrius. No, I don't see Demetrius. I see Demetrius. So should I start if we have quorum?
You have quorum.
The meeting will come to order. The time is now 5:32 p.m. on Monday, April 20th, 2026. This is a regular monthly meeting of the District of Columbia Commission on the Arts and Humanities. My name is Reggie Van Lee, Chairman of the Commission on the Arts and Humanities. I'm an African-American man wearing a white shirt with anchors on it, with blue anchors on it. I will now call the roll. When you hear your name, please answer present. Commissioner Sims, Commissioner Habamana,
Present.
Commissioner Masters-Berry, Commissioner Butler,
Present.
Commissioner Horton,
Present.
Commissioner Torres,
Present.
Commissioner Kim,
Present.
Commissioner Brienza,
Present.
Commissioner Minkiti, Commissioner O'Neill.
She's just joining.
O'Neill is a woman. Commissioner Stedman. Is that who's just joining, Stedman?
He's here.
No,
He's
Max
just
just
joining.
joined.
Commissioner Stedman, you're with us? Either way,
Mr. Commissioner Stedman just appeared. I have to let him in.
But either way, we do have a quorum. We're good.
Yes.
So my quorum is present. This is a meeting of a public body held in open session and is governed by the Open Meetings Act. Please address any questions, excuse me, or complaints arising under this meeting to the Office of Open Government at opengovoffice@dc.gov. Notice of the meeting was posted in the DC Register on the Commission's website, dcarts.dc.gov, and on the DC Office of Open Government, excuse me, Central Meetings Calendar at open-dc.gov. The meeting is being conducted in a virtual format with commissioners joining remotely using the Zoom meeting platform. The meeting is being live streamed to the Commission's YouTube channel. An electronic recording of the meeting will be available for viewing online following the conclusion of the meeting. Are there any objections to the agenda and minutes that were previously circulated from our March 23rd, 2026 regular meeting? Hearing no objection, the agenda for this meeting and minutes from the previous meeting stand as adopted. I'll now read the land acknowledgement. Every community owes its existence and vitality to generations from around the world who contributed their hopes, dreams, and energy to making the history that led to this moment. Some were brought here against their will, some were drawn to leave their distant homes in hope of a better life, and some have lived on this land for more generations than can be counted. Truth and acknowledgement are critical to building mutual respect and connection across all barriers of heritage and difference. We begin this effort to acknowledge what has been buried by honoring the truth. We stand on the ancestral lands of the CAH and the Piscataway people. We pay respects to the elders past and present. Please take a moment to consider the many legacies of violence, displacement, migration, and settlement that bring us together here today. And please join us in uncovering such truths at any and all public events and to use such truths to guide the legacy of this Arts Commission. Good evening and welcome to everyone. As usual, we have a robust agenda for this evening with reports from various committees, a grantee highlight, and public commentary for members of the art community. Today, our grantee highlight is Ira Tettleman, representing the Finders Keepers exhibition currently in the I Street Gallery. Is Ira Tettleman here?
Yep, I just unmuted.
Oh, good. Welcome.
So, hi, Ira Tattleman here, multidisciplinary artist. I've been in DC for over 25 years, and my relationship to the commission has grown and changed over time. I have had a couple of pieces accepted into the art bank. I've received a couple of fellowships over the years, but it's the Sister Cities grant, currently quiet, but it was through the Sister Cities grant with Rome that was pretty crucial to both my development as an artist and the opportunity to bring DC artists to Rome, but also to bring some Roman artists back to DC and exhibit their work in DC, and very much expand my practice beyond just the DC region. COVID, of course, hit, and I became much more focused locally on the community locally. And through a PABC grant and my relationship with Kerry Kennedy, I created a project called Found. Found was temporary public sculpture made by the community of Eckington. And we had 3 workshops and we had 3 exhibits. And it really, it highlighted the creative efforts of the community and how everyone has a creative spark within them. And if they can be encouraged to light that spark or to grow that or whatever, it was a very energizing and important program. It was through Found that I then thought about, well, how can I exhibit this work, and not the work made at Found, but exhibit this notion of found objects to a broader community. And hence, with Kanchan Balse, my co-curator, we created Finders Keepers. And we applied for the AEG grant, which we received, and it's currently on display in the I Street Gallery. We brought 15 local artists into the exhibit. Each of those artists has 2 works in the exhibit. And it really is an exhibit about turning both trash into art, but it's also about the kind of political, social, cultural implications of these scavenged objects. The artists in the exhibit are both young and old. Some have shown in the I Street Gallery, many have not. And seeing the breadth of work through the eyes of finders keepers of found objects, I think is pretty important and pretty impactful. Because of this exhibit, we've had a few other activities. We did a found workshop on Saturday. On Earth Day, which is Wednesday, we're doing a performances. And on next Saturday, we're doing a finder's walk, where we kind of walk about the neighborhood, trying to see what found objects we might find. And then, of course, there will be a closing reception on May 21st. So just the idea of the grant, it's an amazing way to turn your ideas into a reality. It certainly takes a lot of work and a lot of preparation, but these grants are doable. I know that in the past, with a different friend and a different theme show, we applied for the AAG grant. We did not get it, but applying and being rejected is just as important, because you learn so much from that process and from the comments that I received that has certainly helped in suggesting this exhibit. As a follow-up, I think the CAH could introduce some sort of mentorship program, if that's possible, as a way to people who have gotten grants, as a way for them to work with others who don't feel ready or may not have the confidence even to apply for a grant. They're amazing. Sometimes it's a lot of money, and they really allow you to focus on a particular topic and get it out there. And the last thing I'll say is for CAH, I think there are a lot of parks in your neighborhood, whether it be Garfield Park, which is under construction, Canal Park, Yards Park. It'd be great to have an exhibit that might be inside the gallery, but also extend outside the gallery into some of these public spaces outside CAH. So I thank you for including me, and I thank you for the grants and for existing and for all the hard work CAH does.
Well, thank you. Thank you. First, amazing idea. Personally, I'm just excited over the Finders Keepers idea. It's amazing for me. And I have a number of art pieces in my collection that are found objects turned into art. Second, great feedback and suggestions you've made to us. We take them seriously, so thank you. Including the mentorship, which I know we've done that in the past, and that's something we certainly endorse, and we will rev up the mentorship piece of it. And your advice to apply, even if you aren't successful the first time, because it is a learning process. And we've had great success in people who applied, did not get a grant. We worked with them that next year, and they were able to get successful grants either the year following or the year after that. So thank you. All of your feedback and suggestions are well received. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So we'll move on to our public comment portion. I think we have 3 speakers here and 1 sent in written testimony. We'll start with the first speaker, Michael Pan. And the commission welcomes your comments. They're very important to us. Please note that comments are limited to 3 minutes. Please address your remarks to the chair. Note that we will not be engaging into dialogue at this time. The purpose of this agenda item is for you, the public, to inform us, the commission, about your views. If members of the public have factual questions, staff will be glad to follow up via email. So I will start with Mr. Michael Pan.
I do not see Mr. Pan in the waiting room. There's someone labeled Zoom user. If that is Michael Pan, please raise your hand. Otherwise, we should move on to the next commenter.
Good. The next speaker I have is Sandra Beasley.
Yep, I'm promoting Miss Beasley right now. Should be there.
Can I get a thumbs up just to confirm audio and video?
Yes.
We can hear you.
Thank you
We
so
can hear you.
much. All
Thank
right.
you.
Hi, my name is Sandra Beasley. I am a Ward 6 resident. I'm a past Larry Neal Award winner. I'm a DCCAH past grantee and adjudicator for the literary prizes. And I'm about to talk to you about the DC Poet Laureateship and what we hope is a call to restore that position in activity. I would mention that for those who feel like we might be bringing up a new thing at an inopportune time, this is not a new thing. This is, in fact, something that the commission and the larger mayor's office invested money and resources in back in 2019. We started a process that we never finished. And I think to not follow through on that selection process would be a waste of those resources, a waste of those citizen hours that were volunteered. So what I'm going to do is read you a letter that was submitted to the Honorable Mayor Muriel Bowser earlier today with CCs to Stephen Walker on behalf of the Director of the Mayor's Office of Talent and Appointments, or MOTA, and that was also sent to Mr. Myers, Aaron Myers, Executive Director of DCCAH. I'm reading it on behalf of a larger literary community. There are 40 signatories at this time. I suspect we'll continue to get interest in people wishing to sign on. Dear Mayor Bowser, the great art cities and states in America, New York, Los Angeles, Chicago, Philadelphia, for example, are known to appoint a poet laureate. That was once true of the District of Columbia. Also a great art city, but our laureateship has been long defunct. It has been 8 years since the passing of Dolores Kendrick, who was and remains only the second person to hold the position of Poet Laureate for the District of Columbia. In the time since her passing in 2017, the United States has appointed 5 U.S. Poet Laureates, most of whom have spent some of their appointment time in Washington. Nevertheless, the national laureateship, which ultimately serves the entire country, cannot and will not replace the need for the benefit of a poet laureate here who has fostered literacy and community through a regional ambassadorship that enhances engagement through public readings, educational workshops, and arts projects, all very important in the engagement and development of younger and diverse voices. If it were the case that Washington, D.C. lacked the literary and performing talent necessary to identify and elevate a worthy candidate for Poet Laureate, the duration of the vacancy might be understandable. Yet, as your Office of Talent and Engagement, or MOTA, and the district's Commission on the Arts and Humanities, DCCAH, knows, there is a wealth of local talent in the district. The opportunity cost in terms of programming and supporting funding from national arts organizations and the legacy costs to the district's literary history are great when we are not filling the position of the DC Poet Laureateship. Between the DCCAH and MOTA, the know-how and processes exist. Again, a reminder, this has already been set in motion in the past to make the solicitation and selection an efficient endeavor. The district's arts and literary communities, which are recovering still from the disruption of the COVID pandemic, are extremely eager to have a laureate serving and inspiring the people of Washington. We hope that your administration can complete the process in which you have already invested time, money, and human resources. The dividends from finally appointing a poet laureate will make the district culturally all the richer. And again, I represent 40 plus signatories. If you can find this letter online, I didn't submit it because we were still finalizing the draft. You will see links to, among other things, national funding opportunities for laureateships that DC is missing out on being able to apply for because we do not have an appointed poet laureate. And I would also point out, for more information, I wrote an op-ed about this in the Washington Post back in 2021, more than 5 years ago. Nothing has changed. We would love for something to change. Thank you all.
Good, well, thank you. And first, I'll reiterate, this is not a new thing, as you said. This is something we've talked about before. And at the risk of going out on a limb without having discussed this with my fellow commissioners or the staff, I think we would be very supportive of this. I will follow up with my colleagues and make sure I'm not speaking out of school, but I think this is something that's quite important. I just arrived in 2021 in this position and asked that question as well. But I guess with so many other things that one is dealing with, it somehow not get the attention it deserved. But now I'm glad that you and your colleagues have brought it to the table, and we will do all we can on our side to support it.
Thank you. We're excited for
Thank
that
you.
dialogue. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So has Mr. Michael Penn arrived? Pan, rather, arrived?
Nope.
If not, and as I said, we had written testimony from Miss Elaine Speller. Is Miss Valerie Chisholm here?
Yes.
Miss Chisholm, you're on. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. I'm Barry Chisholm, and I've been around the DC area. I came here through Howard and kind of stayed. I went to New York, came back, but I was lucky to get a grant from the commission in 1982, which I was very fortunate. It was the first time I actually applied. And then I got a second grant in 2024. But on my first grant, it was so instrumental because it provided material for me with my designs that I was able to be in Garfield's, Toasted Strawberries, among other stores. So I want to thank the DC Commission for that. The timeliness was amazing. My main thing that I wanted to speak about was that because of the number, when I know when I got the grant in 2024, I looked at the list of the grantees and it was so many, which is great. It's wonderful. But I was wondering, for people that are just doing it for the first time, how that might be for them. And that's why I was bringing it to the attention. If there's a possibility, I'm just putting it on the table for conversation at a later time, for new applicants to be in another separate category, because the level, to me, I find, of the quality of the artists, as well as you have other teams that are being put together that support some of the applications that are coming in. It puts it in a whole different category. And I've worked with nonprofits, and I've done it as an individual. And like the other gentleman said, it's very humbling when you do get an award and you do understand there's so many that it is a process. But I just wanted to bring to your attention that you might consider having the new applicants in a category of their own. And I do commend the larger organizations because they are doing a lot for the city. It's raising the level of performance as far as the institutions, be it cultural, educational, that are connected with the arts. So I commend that side too. So I'm for all of it. I just don't want to have the new applicants be scared off.
Great.
All right. That's all I had to say.
Well, thank you, thank you.
You're
And
welcome.
we clearly have a sensitivity to new applicants, and that shows in the increasing number of new applicants that are coming in and getting awards. A
Okay.
different category, I know there's been conversation about that, and I'm going to give that back to the grants committee and the other commissioners to think about if indeed we want to take that step further. But no, there is a sensitivity to new applicants, and we've been very pleased with the increased number of new applicants each
Mhm,
grant cycle.
Okay. Thank
So
you so
thank you.
much.
Thank you
All
very
right. Take
much.
care.
We
All
thank
right.
all of our public comments. We'll move on to the executive director report. Aaron Myers, sir.
Hello, Aaron Myers here, African American male, balding, with a gray hoodie on. Myself and our deputy director, we are here in Delaware meeting with other executive directors and deputy directors in the Mid-Atlantic Arts Foundation region. It's through this advocacy we've been able to support our grantees from another space and level where many of their works have been considered for grants through the Mid-Atlantic Arts and have been awarded and have been promoted. One of the things I was really honored last year is when the Go-Go Museum opened, we got the state director of Virginia to send out the opening to everyone in Virginia and encourage people to go and support and see it. So we're here to further that work while we're here. My report will go as follows, and I have it a little bit large on my end too so I can see it. The agency's budget oversight hearing will take place next month on Wednesday, May 6, 2026 at 9 a.m. So CAH encourages those who are interested in testifying to join us at that hearing. To contextualize what the budget means for the agency, I will share some insight and reminders of how the budget is formulated and where we are in the process. The proposed FY27 budget sent to council from the mayor is $39,086,443. This will be a 14.5% reduction in the budget from FY26 budget of $45,731,408. This is not a cut from the mayor or the council, but a result of downward revenue projections. Actions taken by the federal government have resulted in negative impacts to the district's projected sales tax revenues. Because the agency's budget is funded through an original allocation of 5% of the district's sales tax, this directly impacts CAH. The mayor previously proposed a growth cap on the agency's budget of 102%, and the council elected to codify this cap. At the time the cap was enacted, the city's revenues were stronger, and the cap would have kept our budget relatively flat, as long as revenue projections were trending upward. However, the cap negatively impacts the agency's budget if revenue projections trend downward, which is where we find ourselves today. For agencies with budgets formulated through projected revenue, there is a safeguard in place that helps stabilize the budget. This is called a fund balance. The fund balance grants the agency authority to carry over dollars between fiscal years, whether unspent due to program shifts or if revenue exceeds the CFO's projections. Thus, if the projected budget shrinks, it will ensure the decreased budget will not have as great a negative impact on the agency's ability to both award grants at both the size and quantity as the year before, as well as ensure we will not have to pull back admin support so greatly that it negatively impact the agency's ability to support grant-making efforts. In the proposed budget, the mayor's office has requested that council grant them the authority to utilize the fund balance towards balancing the budget for both FY26 and FY27. This is news we've received within the last two to 3 weeks. Taking away this stabilizing mechanism that will help the agency adjust in a responsible manner in a result to lower revenue projections. This isn't the first time this proposal has been made to utilize the fund balance, fund balances of agencies. However, not all agencies with fund balances were taken. Again, this mechanism can only be removed if the council votes to fulfill this request. In the past, council has granted the agency the authority to utilize the fund balance to stabilize its budget, so it will not negatively impact the agency's ability to award grants in both the size and quantity or experience administrative cuts that would stretch the support of the agency's ability to carry out its duty. Let me be clear. CAH will advocate for one, utilizing the fund balance to ensure its funding ability remains stable for the community, and two, removal of the 102% cap on our growth. Whereas we understand the spirit behind the effort, the negative impact of its implementation can no longer be justified. The Commission will be placing both a data sheet on our website where members of the Commission and community can view the impact the investments made within our community through our grants. Tomorrow, or Tuesday, meeting requests will go out to commissioners to go over this data and to show the impact in a ward-by-ward breakdown of how CAH's investment through grants have impacted the district. If members of the community would like to discuss our budget, how our budget is formulated, or the impact of the upcoming budget upon the community, feel free to email me to set up a meeting. And I'm sure Ashley will love this. Ashley.lynch@dc.gov or my email, aaron.myers@dc.gov. I want to be clear, these conversations should happen. I'm welcome to have them with all of you. With whatever we are given in our budget, we will utilize it to support, uplift, and stabilize the creative ecosystem in both a fair and equitable way. The budget does not discourage me. The agency still has the ability to do a great deal of good in this community, and we will advocate to be fully resourced to do so in the best way possible.
Can I stop you right there for
Yes,
Aaron? I'm sorry.
Yes.
I just want to punctuate because this is actually quite important. It's important that the voice of the community is heard around this issue. So as Aaron has said, if you have a perspective to share with us, to share with your council members, et cetera, you should do it because this is an important topic. And it's something that we can deal with in the right sort of way if we have the right level of support around it. So just wanted to punctuate what Aaron has said here and really invite the public and our constituents to be a part of this process. Thanks, Aaron.
Absolutely. So I'm going to go a little bit further and take questions, of course, afterwards. Friday, we announced, and this is a bittersweet and sad little bit, space, but Friday, we announced to the staff and to the commissioners that our senior grants officer, Terrell Johnson, many of which you and the community have gotten to know, will be stepping down in mid-May to take advantage of some awesome opportunities. Terrell has brought a fresh and strategic approach to the agency's grant-making work, which has greatly helped in shaping priorities for CAH. He embodies the spirit of his mantra, giving agency to voices, and that's something that has made us both stronger and better. Please join me in thanking Terrell for his 4 years of service to CAH and the community.
Yes. Let me clearly punctuate here that this is a tremendous loss to the agency and to the city, I would argue, in this space. He is irreplaceable in my mind. We will find the best substitute, but substitute is not the same as being someone being fully replaced. And we will find the appropriate way to give him a nice bon voyage as he goes off to his next venture. But know that we really appreciate all that Terrell has done. It has made a huge difference at this agency, and hope that we can get someone close to that level of energy and skill and preparedness that Terrell brought to that position. So thank you, Terrell, if you're listening, and know that we're going to find a way to celebrate you appropriately.
And just so the community can know, Terrell is going to be helping us in this transition. So you'll be seeing a link to go out this week about those who would like to apply for that particular position as well. So his spirit will continue with us. For our grants, this is a grant update. CAH is a grant making agency, and as of this week, 1,114 POs have been created. That's 94% of grant awards. Now, as I've looked through the outliers, because we're in April, and this was as of Friday, there's only a few that are left. And as I look in the outliers, I would like to remind our fellowship grantees to please be in touch with their grant managers. This is something that's really important. And for some of our GOS grantees who still have not received their grants, to also be in touch with your grant managers. We stand at the ready to assist and offer guidance. Again, I'm grateful to work alongside a team dedicated to fairness. The grants committee will be sharing more in their report to commissioners. The strategic plan, during the governance committee update, we will hear more on the strategic plan. I want to thank all of the commissioners and staff who have made themselves available for interviews, along with the public who've contributed their ideas and thoughts to this plan. We look forward to more engagement as we discuss findings and what the road ahead will look like based upon everyone's input. Tonight's update will not result in a decision or an action, but will position us to go into the next phase of visioning that will start next month. The Eaton Workshop Partnership. There will be a grantee-wide email coming out this week with additional information about the Eaton Workshop Partnership. As a reminder, please email christopher.nome@dc.gov, and let's give Chris some love. He's doing all of the events and the commission meetings by himself. He's been a lone soldier lately, so y'all give him some love and encouragement to take advantage of our new partnership with Eaton Workshop. The commission has launched a 6-month pilot program offering our FY26 grantees daily access to 7 Nomad desk spaces at the Eaton Workshop co-working space and 80 hours of access to their creator space to practice, produce, or hold co-working sessions. So this is a direct response. I just want to remind everybody, to those who came to us and come to commissioners individually about we need space. We have some space here that you can take advantage of. So we want you to sign up, reach out to Chris. He'll be able to get you more information. Lastly, we have some additional community events, aside from the incredible events coming up in the gallery, some of which you have heard about from our grantee guests earlier in the meeting. We have 2 agency partnership events taking place this week. On Tuesday, April 21st, we will be celebrating Deaf History Month through our creative networking series in coordination with the Office of Disability Rights, Department of Deaf, Blind, and Hard of Hearing. This event will take place at Crooked Run Fermentation in Union Market from 5:30 to 7:30 p.m. And here members of the Dream Girls Broadway musical will be in attendance. So please make sure you RSVP online. Additionally, on Friday, April 24th, the Commission will be celebrating Second Chance Month and co-hosting an open mic night with the Mayor's Office of Returning Citizen Affairs. This event will take place from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. at the Commission Community Room at 200 I Street Southeast. If you have any questions, I stand at the ready.
Any questions, commissioners? Thank you, Aaron. We'll go on to the Grants Committee. Gretchen.
Hello, everyone. I don't look like my usual smiley, happy self. It's because I'm losing Terrell. I really want to thank him tremendously. We've kind of been joined at the hip since he's been here. And he is just not just an amazing grants person, but an amazing person. I wish him all the luck in the world. And Terrell, don't ever think that this is the last time we're going to talk. We're still going to be friends forever. I'm going to turn the meeting over to Terrell now to give the report.
Thank you, Gretchen. And you are still going to be on my speed dial, so don't worry about that at all. Um, so some exciting stuff coming up. New for FY27, our summer grants opening. Our FY27 Arts and Humanities Education Project, AHEP, our Arts and Humanities Fellowship Program, AHFP, and Field Trip Experience, FTE, and Capital Project, CP, grant programs will open tentatively on Tuesday, June 2nd, and will close on Tuesday, July 7th. So roughly about 5 weeks. The Arts and Humanities Education Project, AHEP, is the Arts and Humanities Education Project furthers CAH's mission by encouraging progress in the arts and humanities in the District of Columbia by supporting nonprofit humanities, arts education, and service organizations who significantly contribute to the District of Columbia's world-class cultural capital. Grant project types include in-school projects, out-of-school time projects, professional development projects, older adult projects. The fellowship program, AHFP, furthers CAH's mission by encouraging progress in the arts and humanities in the District of Columbia by supporting qualified individual artists and humanities practitioners who significantly contribute to the District of Columbia as a world-class cultural capital. AHFP recognizes the impact of individual artists and humanity practitioners within the district and support the vitality and those individuals bring to the local community. The grant opportunity encourages progress in the arts and humanities by sustaining, highlighting, and elevating the accomplishments of individual district-based artists and humanities practitioners. The disciplines include dance, design arts, go-go musician, visual arts, humanities, interdisciplinary, media arts, music, theater, and teaching arts. Um, Field Trips Experience, FT furthers CAH's mission by encouraging progress in the arts and humanities in the District of Columbia by supporting nonprofit arts, humanities, arts education, and service organizations who significantly contribute to the District of Columbia as a world-class cultural capital. The FTE grant program supports the cost of field trip tickets, professional development opportunities for classroom educators, and for pre-post field trip workshops for students. Funding may also be allocated to necessary personnel support for the planning and implementation of the programs. Our capital projects. Capital CP furthers CAH's mission by encouraging progress in the arts and humanities in the District of Columbia by supporting nonprofit arts, humanities, arts education, and service organizations that significantly contribute to the District of Columbia as a world-class cultural capital. CP supports organizations that, one, own or rent facilities, two, intend to own facilities, or three, seeking capital project support for permanent property, technology, equipment, or digital assets designed for training, management, production, or presentation of performances or exhibitions of the arts and humanities. We're here to help. The grant team is excited to announce virtual office hours for grantees and applicants. Starting Monday, June 1st, our grant managers will be available to answer your specific questions about your grant application every Monday from 10 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. Here's how it works. No appointment necessary. Simply drop in during our virtual office hours. While time slots are not required, we may offer them in the future to manage traffic. Stay tuned for updates. Our virtual office hours are a great opportunity to, one, clarify grant program requirements, discuss application details, and get help with post-award management. We look forward to connecting with you. And that is my report.
Thank you. Commissioners, any questions, comments? Continued accolades to you, Terrell, and thanks sincerely. Thank you.
Thank you.
We will, yeah, if I
Hector,
may, we will
please.
miss your gracious demeanor. Thank you very much for all the incredible work and the ideas and for the implementing of the new programs that we're now working with, making it easier for grantees to not only get their money, but also to be heard and to be supported. A lot of the changes that have taken place under your time here. Thank you so much for the clarity that you've given us and for just being such a wonderfully gracious man. Truly appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Good. Thank you. And again, I reiterate, we will find an occasion to properly give you a bon voyage
Thank
and
you.
roast
want
you
to
as well.
add
We
to,
we
I,
will
I
roast
want
you
to,
definitely. Sorry?
I just don't know if anybody heard because they keep putting me on platforms where I can't talk. So obviously you can hear me now.
We can hear you, yes.
Okay, Terrell, you're the best. You've set an example. You have a legacy that you've left. I think people should pay attention to it. You're able to come up with innovative ways to serve our grantees, and at the same time have a customer-friendly attitude where people were comfortable talking with you. And in many ways, you're not single issue minded. You're pretty broad in your approach to every topic and genre of music that we discussed. You weren't limited to that. So I don't think you're replaceable, but I do think you've left a legacy. So, bon voyage, but at the same time, I hate to see you go.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We all feel that way. This is great. Thank you. Thanks again, Terrell. Gretchen, anything else from grants?
No, that's it.
Good. Thank you. We'll move on to public art. Carla.
Commissioner Sims is absent, but I'm happy to give the report if you'd
Thanks.
like.
Thanks,
Excellent.
Corinne.
Excellent. Hi, everyone. I'm Corinne Miller. I'm the Public Arts Manager for the DC Commission on the Arts and Humanities. I use she, her pronouns. I'm a white woman with brown hair, glasses, and I'm wearing a black sweater. And I am loving the Terrell Love Fest this evening. So happy to hear it. So the Public Art Committee held their last meeting on Wednesday, April 15th, and I'm pleased to give the report from that meeting. So I think as Director Myers mentioned at the last full commission meeting, our team welcomed Stephanie Hinton as our new art collections registrar on March 23rd. She brings lots of experience from museum, university, and gallery collections and joined CAH from International Art and Artists. Stephanie will be focusing on registrarial and collections management for CAH's exterior artworks, while also supporting broader collections initiatives. The public art team is also collaborating on a public art and commemorative art convening scheduled for May 14th and 15th, which is led by Forecast Public Art, the Trust for the National Mall, and the Office of Planning. It'll be a free workshop designed for public art practitioners and artists seeking to expand their experience. The team is also supporting Hometown DC, which is a special initiative developed with Humanities DC, Anacostia Community Museum, DC History Center, and DC Public Library. Hometown DC is a community-driven public history and art project highlighting the voices of district residents through oral history interviews, outdoor installations at library locations, and free events. The project will offer a portrait of life in DC as the United States marks its 250th anniversary. So more information coming out about that soon. As for the Art Bank program, the public art team is preparing for the spring launch, which actually happened last week. It opened on Monday, April 13th. We're actively engaging artists and jurors and coordinating activities leading up to Art Bank's 40th anniversary as well, which we'll celebrate in the fall of this year. The team is also initiating outreach for a new historical acquisition category aimed at securing artworks that reflect DC's rich history and artistic legacy. A couple of updates on the FY26 Art Exhibition Curatorial Grant Program. You all heard from Ira Tattleman earlier this evening. We're very pleased to present his and Kanchan Balse's exhibition Finders Keepers in recognition of Earth Day month with 15 local artists who've transformed, found, manufactured and natural objects into artworks that emphasize humanity, interconnection, and environmental responsibility. You'll see in the report some images of the work as well as key dates. So the show's up until May 22nd. Later this week on Wednesday, April 22nd, there'll be Earth Day performances. There's a Finders Walk this Saturday. And then if you can't make any of those events, we'll have a closing reception and artist talk on Thursday, May 21st from 6 to 8 p.m. An update on the FY26 juried exhibition grant program. So applicants were notified of award and decline decision for CAH's summer exhibition, which is called Rip Tear Collages Critique. The team has been working on processing grantee paperwork, and the exhibition is scheduled for June 11th through August 7th. So that'll be the next show in the gallery, and will feature 23 DC-based artists who use collage not only as a visual method, but also as a lens for cultural, political, ecological, and personal inquiry and critique. And that will be curated by our curator, Michelle McCurry. The FY26 Public Art Building Communities Program, a few updates on that and some great photos. So I'll Meet You There is a project that's organized and curated by FY26 PABC grantee Hamiltonian artists, done in partnership with the Nicholson Project. It's a temporary project that will run from March through July, and it's a 4-part public art exhibition built around a roving billboard truck that presents video works by artists, along with outdoor installations at Hamiltonian Artists and the Nicholson Project. It's a LED mobile truck that operates for 8 hours each day for 16 consecutive Saturdays, traveling through all 4 quadrants of Washington, D.C. Uh, so there's some images from the opening event that was in coordination with Stephanie J. Williams. She was in conversation with artist Luis Vasquez LaRoche on Saturday, March 21st. There's also a map of the truck so you can see where it is at any time. And then there's several upcoming events, one in May, one in June, and one in July. It's a really fantastic project. I think an innovative look at what public art can be, and encourage folks to go see it. The FY27 Public Art Building Communities request for applications is live now. A live chat and virtual workshop was held last week on Wednesday, April 15th, and then there'll be a final questions and review held on Tuesday, June 16th at 10 a.m. The FY26 Color the Curb School Safety Program finalist recommendation was approved at the last full commission meeting on Monday, March 23rd. Using Submittable, which is very exciting, the notice of grant awards were sent to the 4 approved finalists, and notice of decline sent to the applicants who were not accepted into the program. We'll have a more robust update shortly on the Fresh Paint mural program, but the panel review for Fresh Paint, which is the new mural program, was held on Thursday, April 2nd. Finalist recommendations were presented to the PAC last week, and then will be presented to the full commission later this evening. So site confirmation is still underway with properties in Uptown DC, the Downtown Bid, and 8th Street, Main Street. Last Wednesday, Deirdre Darden, our public arts coordinator, presented the funding memorandum and spreadsheet to the Public Art Committee for the grant line. I'll let her go over some of the outreach and observations when she presented regarding outreach and grantee feedback and the submissions. And then I'll give one more update on collections management before I guess I'll answer questions, and then we can hand it over to Deirdre. But I'm happy to report that the collections team was able to facilitate the donation of several sculptures from the Party Animals and Pandemania public art projects to DC Public Schools. These artworks have been in storage for several years, and now they've been installed at the Duke Ellington School of the Arts, Garrison Elementary School, McFarland Middle School, Marie Reed Elementary School, and River Terrace Education Campus. The schools were thrilled to receive them, and the artworks have found a new and better home. Louisa Hammond, our registrar, also clarified during the meeting that they were donated to DCPS, and they'll handle any care and maintenance going forward. I'm happy to answer any questions if folks have them.
Any questions? We're now going to vote on the resolution.
Deirdre has the funding
Yes.
recommendation memo and some more information. Yeah, if we want to pass it to her, that's perfect. Thank you.
Thank you. Deirdre?
Thank you, Corinne. Good evening, everyone. I'm Deirdre Darden, Public Art Coordinator, and happy to present the first vote for the inaugural cycle of Fresh Paint DC, CH's new mural program. Fresh Paint DC is going to be its individual artist mural grant program for DC-based muralists or muralist teams to design and install large-scale exterior murals on the exterior of selected buildings within the District of Columbia. And so the main goals of this program are to encourage, the appreciation and enjoyment of arts and humanities by funding local artists to install original murals in accessible public spaces within the district for all to experience. To be able to fund these artists to create these new art projects that are collaborative and showcase their talent, strengthen DC communities by reflecting place-based identities in the design of the murals and having community involvement, and to provide educational opportunities and share culture through public art, which enhances artistic and humanistic talents of the grantee. And the goals of CAH. For this year, we worked with community partners to select our sites, and those three partners were the Uptown Community Initiative, the H Street Main Street organization, and the Downtown Bid. And we have potential sites along Georgia Avenue, Minnesota Avenue Northeast, Georgia Avenue Northwest, Chinatown, and Penn Quarter through those partnerships. And the recommended wards of the finalists, just matching, so you can see here on the chart, are listed. So you see the wards of the sites and the wards of the finalists. There was one cycle so far. The overall budget is $120,000 for 4 grants at $30,000 each. During the panel, we had a panel of local experts of past mural artists, administrators, and our community partners who reviewed all the 44 eligible applications, again, using Submittable, which is really convenient. It was a very competitive grant, especially for the first cycle, very tight scoring, and the top 4 finalists all scored between a 91 and a 91.5. And we are recommending funding for all 4 of those finalists. Each finalist will be matched with their site and the community partner, and from there they'll begin to work on the design and installation of the selected mural. So as I mentioned, FY26 is the launch of Fresh Paint DC. We were dormant on an individual artist mural program for a couple of years. And I worked a lot with the community to get feedback on what they would want to see when a new mural program is able to launch, and what sort of the community needs for the muralists and site partners would be. So with that feedback, we're able to answer the demand for an individual artist mural grant and reinstate that at CAH and be able to fund individual mural artists and artist teams to paint murals across DC. During the open application period, we had our sort of typical outreach through direct email, social media, and CAH's newsletter and emails, and did a lot of work to generate the buzz amongst the muralist community too, and relied on word of mouth to get some new people acclimated into this new program. We had 3 virtual informational workshops that were all held on Zoom and recorded and posted on the website. Again, we were using the new grant management system Submittable, which is really successful, having 40 submissions and 34 of those were eligible for review. All 8 wards are represented in those submissions. And the panelists provided really great feedback for these applicants who are not recommended for funding. And, as it's been mentioned in this meeting before, sometimes that feedback can be just as beneficial to someone's career and longevity as receiving the grant. And we hope in the future that Fresh Paint DC can grow, future cycles, incorporate some of the mural requests that we receive from across the city, and just continue to expand. So the recommendation is for the PAC to approve the funding for FY26 Fresh Paint DC CH mural program in the total of $120,000.
Well, the PAC already approved it, right?
The PAC
Now,
did,
now it's
yes.
for the now it's for the
Now it's
commission.
the full commission.
Exactly. I can read the resolution, but I just wanted to say congrats to the team again for a thorough, comprehensive, artist-sensitive process that really tried to give people all the right information and shepherd them through the process, et cetera. So I applaud the team for that. That extra effort really shows in the results. So with that, I will read the resolution. Be it resolved that the commission adopts the funding recommendations for the FY26 Fresh Paint DC CAH Mural Program Grant as presented for a total funding amount of $120,000. I'll now go through the roll, and if you agree, aye, oppose, nay, or abstain. Commissioner Sims? Commissioner Habamana?
Aye.
Commissioner Masters Berry?
Aye.
Commissioner Butler?
Aye.
Commissioner Horton?
Aye.
Commissioner Torres?
Aye.
Commissioner Kim?
Aye.
Commissioner Brienza?
Aye.
Commissioner Mankiti?
Aye.
Commissioner O'Neill?
Aye.
Commissioner Stedman?
Aye.
Thank you. It passes. Thank you very much. Anything else in public art? Well, we thank you, and we'll go on to finance. Janice?
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Janice Kim, and I am an East Asian woman wearing a olive green shirt today. The Finance Committee held our monthly meeting last week, and as Brandon Saunders is unavailable today, Martine Fernandez will present the report, the detailed report today. And I will pass it to Martine.
Hey Janice, I'm actually here today.
Oh, okay.
No,
I was going to
no
say, I
worries.
see Brandon
Nice.
there.
Thank you, Brandon.
No worries. We had a different cadence to our meeting last week. And so we had like a lot of robust information for sure. But I'm happy to present as well. Hi, I am Brandon Saunders, Resource Operations Manager, and I am happy to join y'all and, of course, everyone else who are gathered here today. Everything on this month's Finance Committee report represents data reflected as of April 14th, which puts us about halfway through the fiscal year of FY26, about 5.5 months remaining. And I think that the numbers tell a story of disciplined mid-year execution and kind of serve as the evidence base for the fund balance and revenue conversation that Aaron had previously. And as Aaron noted, the proposed FY27 budget is just over $39 million, about 14.5 reduction from the 26 budget from our current $45.7 million overall budget. And kind of the numbers I just wanted to speak to today kind of show an agency that's operating responsible for today, and that we have the runway to exactly show why, why we probably deserve that stabilizing mechanism, and that all these additional revenues and support balances are worth preserving. With all that being said, we can, start here at slide 1, where I kind of mentioned the overall number of $45.7 million. We've expended about 48% of the total budget, so kind of right on track for the year, with about 22.38% remaining, essentially. Kind of one thing I wanted to speak to with that particular side is that the 14.64% in grants is a direct financial echo of the kind of the operational work that Aaron kind of described around the 1,114 POs. So that's kind of a mirror image of what this number is showing on this slide. And the remaining grant dollars kind of largely represent the in-process final 6% of the residual balances on those projects that are still kind of active and still to come. So we can move to the next slide. And this, of course, is our administrative slide that just focused on the larger account categories overall. So kind of just the headline to kind of take away from here that all of our operations are essentially tracking well overall, with about 4.78 million available against the remaining $8.46 million budget. And of course, the largest line is personnel services to be expected. And we're, of course, kind of tracking right around 53% availability, which is right on track to our 5.5 month mark there. One thing I kind of wanted to mention specifically is there is still a large $1.23 million available balance in contractual services line, and that is directly connected to a lot of the lines that are in our current reprogramming. That's due to essentially redistribute those lines across personnel services and other relevant categories across all the different divisions and departments, all their accounts, such as other contracts, purchases, equipment, security, MOUs, supplies, etc. And in that reprogramming, we should see hopefully a change in this amount of this slide the most from next month, because our we did receive a feedback last Wednesday that should be in motion and putting the final touches on it. So I think that we can move to the next slide, which we can probably proceed pretty quickly through as well, because this is just essentially a breakdown of the previous slide with a little bit more of additional categories that represent or accounts that represent the larger categories that they all roll up to. We have some that are still categories that are still to be, well, they have large amounts remaining, but per our spending plan, and which is really the idea of resource allocation, uh, the last 2 quarters will show that we have a plan to essentially be on track to be spent. And some things are going to be moved around as well, per the reprogramming just mentioned. But yes, if happy to answer any questions with more specific categories with this slide. And we can move to the last one. And so this is our grant slide, which represents a programmatic breakdown of the grants funding overall, just to kind of, I was kind of taking some notes to when Aaron was presenting his report, and he did call kind of on the fellowship grantees and GEO as grantees that haven't received their awards to be in direct contact, of course, with their grant managers. We have such small percentages remaining. I'm about 0.76% available of AHAP and 2.95% of GOS specifically. So that last little bit is just at that execution phase, and the agency is ready to assist overall. Some things that have been fully deployed are the humanities, which we know goes to one stakeholder, FTE, AEG, and PABC as well, which are some of our neighborhood arts and public arts grants. And we also have some remaining available balances that will be planned out pretty soon, including one we just voted on. And so that concludes my presentation. Happy to answer any specific questions about FY26, FY27 as best as possible. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brandon.
Any questions from commissioners? I'm sorry, Aaron.
It's okay. Thank you, Brandon. And I wanted to kind of piggyback on that. You heard in my report the call for use of a FY26 fund balance in the present moment. When we see that the way that our grants and our personnel services, the admin line, is crafted and deployed, it's on what I would call the honor system, meaning that we have a projected budget, a projected amount that we're going to be dealing with based on revenue projections, and we deploy, we award, and we start sending out those dollars. And so once we start to see that maybe those projections are different, to make sure that we not only honor our word, but to ensure that we have a continuity in what we're trying to do here as an agency to the community. In a moment where the community, our creative ecosystem, as we hear quite often, is dealing with a great deal of instability. This is why we make that request for the use of the fund balance. And remember, that request can only be not fulfilled if the council decides to do something else with it. And there's one question that's always asked to us, and Reggie and both Reggie and Gretchen, when we've met, which is why we're getting you the data sheet. The question is stated and posed back to us. Well, that means we have to cut something else, and our answer should be yes. Find whatever that is your job to find. But we're making the case for the arts, and we're making the case of why the mechanism that's put in place to ensure our stability is not tampered with. And what Brandon just showed. Thank you, Commissioner Kim, and for your work with Brandon to ensure that that's been made clear to us tonight. Thank you.
Yeah, but I'll just add to what Aaron says. As usual, the people that speak the loudest get the attention. And that's why we want to encourage our constituents and the public, if you have a point of view on this, to speak it. If you sit quiet, if you sit silent, then those who speak the loudest will get the advantage of any sort of opportunities to fund that we would like to have ourselves. The other thing I'll say is, as Aaron and Brandon said, our numbers are reducing due to the budget cuts, but we will spend the money in the most efficient, most effective, most equitable way, most professional way. And so that is a commitment we can meet, but we don't have the power to determine how much money we get alone. And we could usually help in buoying that as much as you can. Any other questions on finance for anyone?
I have two last points to kind of, before we proceed forward, that can kind of close us out. And kind of mention all this advocacy, the FY27 budget oversight hearing is on Wednesday, May the 6th, at 9 a.m. And of course, we'll have all the supporting materials and be prepped and ready to go. And as the data sheet that Aaron just mentioned, it's really, of course, a ward by ward grant impact breakdown. And the RA team has been contributing a lot of data towards that and prepared to work, support, and continue to build the robust foundation that we intend to have with all the performance-based data. Thank y'all.
Thank you. If there are no other questions about finance, we will go to arts education. Hector.
Okay, very well. I do not know if you have the report present for show. However, let me start. No, okay, no, that's not my report. All right. The Arts Education Committee met on Tuesday, April 14th. In attendance were myself, Chairman Van Lee, and Demetrius Butler. Poetry Aloud, as you all know, took place on March 27th, and the three particular winners were: in first place, Nyla Dinkins from Benjamin Banneker High School. Second place was Mika McDonald, Duke Ellington High School. And in third place was Angel Ositelu from Capital City Public Charter School. In fact, right now, there will be a final competition that will be taking place, or should I say the regional competition will be taking place on April 27th at GW Lisner Auditorium, and that's where she'll be representing. Now, there's the issue of the internships coming up. The official call for summer interns will be announced on Friday, April 24th. In order to apply, prepare, and produce the letter of interest, writing sample, and resume in PDF format will be required. The details can be found in our website for those who are interested, and the website is www.dcarts.dc.gov, and on Instagram at the THEDACARTS. The National Assembly of State Arts Agencies Professional Development Institute. This year's conference will take place in the district during the month of October, this 26th. Commission on Arts and Humanities, along with NASAA and the Arts Education Working Group, are working on partnering with them to plan for the 3-day arts education convening. The planning committee will be conducting site visits for potential locations on April 30th and May 1st, which is actually paid venues that are going to be used throughout the city of our own arts venues, which is a great way of exposing our arts venues to other arts agencies throughout the country. The PDI is designed to equip arts education managers who serve in diverse roles across state or government and their respective states with the tools, knowledge, and networks needed to lead the effective arts education programs. Participants come from all 56 states. I don't know, actually, I only have 50, but 56 locations and jurisdictions representing a wide range of professional backgrounds. For questions concerning arts education programs, please contact Arts Learning Coordinator Andrea Brown and at andrea.brown3@dc.gov or Arts Learning Specialist Mauricio Pita at mauricio.pita@dc.gov. Important on this particular convening is that it will showcase our city and very much be part of Fabric in providing us perhaps opportunities to get data and information that could serve our own purpose in terms of how we would proceed in educating programs, as well as we will be used as a model, I feel. Thank you.
Thank you. Questions, comments? Thank you, Hector.
Thank you.
We'll go on to governance. Julianne.
Good evening. My name is Julianne Brianza. I serve as the Governance Committee Chair and the Secretary. Excuse me. I'm a white woman that's coughing. Excuse me. I'm a white woman of Italian and Irish and Spanish descent, and I use she, her pronouns. The Governance Committee met to receive a report on the findings from the Strategic Planning Needs Assessment led by the Commission staff in partnership with the Opportunity Consulting. As commissioners, we provide governance and oversight to this process, while the staff and Opportunity Consulting are responsible for the implementation and the execution once the plan is adopted by the agency. Committee members recognize the significant effort undertaken to engage stakeholders across multiple channels, including staff interviews, focus groups, commissioner interviews, and a broadly distributed public survey. This process yielded strong participation with over 400 responses to the full survey, completed by an additional engagement through a shorter targeted survey. Respondents reflected a diverse cross-section of the agency's community, including artists, applicants, grantees, residents, and any of our organizational partners. Committee members expressed appreciation for the breadth of the outreach and the depth of input garnered, noting that the work does provide a strong foundation for the strategic planning process. Building on this foundation, the committee members noted that the 25-page report contained a high level of detail and suggested that an additional synthesis would support a clearer digestion of key findings. Feedback also highlighted the importance of providing a stronger data context, further articulating the agency's grant-making philosophy and refining the prioritization of goals. I'm going to now introduce Lindsay Brown of Opportunity Consulting, who has been leading this work in partnership with CAH's staff. She's going to present part of the overview of the findings and outline next steps for the strategic planning process. Please, commissioners, take note that she has reserved time in her presentation for questions and comments. So don't feel like you need to jump in the middle of what she's presenting. Let's let her do the whole spiel. And also, please put May 13th, our executive committee meeting, 5:30 to 7:30 p.m. in whatever you track your life in. That is when we're going to do our visioning session. And it's really critical that we have each and every single member's voices that are commissioners a part of that process. Lindsay?
Wonderful, thank you. Checking for audio. Yes, great.
We hear you. Yep.
Excellent. And now let's check for presentation.
There you go.
All right. Never question when the technology is working. Let's move it to slideshow. All right, are we in full view now? Great. All right. Thank you, Commissioner Brenza, Director Myers, and the full commission. On behalf of our entire team at Opportunity Consulting, including my colleague Ananya Sharma, who has joined me tonight, we are pleased to share an update on the strategic plan process and a summary of our findings. Our objectives tonight are not to detail every line of information and data in the comprehensive report, but rather to review those high-level findings, identify your findings and information gaps, and set the stage for that visioning session that was just previewed. We will do that by presenting a brief overview of the process, the findings, and the emerging recommendations. Then we will engage in a round-robin discussion about your clarifying questions and key takeaways, and then we'll give you a brief snapshot of what comes next. A brief note about the context for this conversation. Over the last 5 to 6 years, during and after COVID, as commissioners well know, but the public might be less familiar with, the Commission has undertaken a number of strategic planning efforts of different shapes and sizes, and some of those key milestones are captured at the right. The process you're undergoing now is an opportunity, a really rare and important one, to establish, communicate, and manage performance against a single integrated plan. What we've heard clearly from commissioners, staff leaders, and the general staff of the Commission is that the organization needs and is ready to move in the direction of such a plan. For an overview of the process to date, over the last few months, our team has collaborated with the team to conduct a needs assessment to understand the current state. Today, we're sharing those findings. From May to August, we will then move into a forward-facing process where we will collectively design the roadmap for the future. We have additional details on all of that process, but we are not going to take tonight's time to detail that out. More information will come in writing shortly. The needs assessment was designed to answer a few key questions that were co-designed alongside the staff. I'm actually going to read the key parts of these questions out loud because we won't revisit them again in the overarching findings, and it's important to ground the inquiry in what we were looking to find out. First, what are the current challenges and opportunities for the DC arts and humanities ecosystem? Generally, as people who live and work and do art in this ecosystem, what are those challenges and opportunities, absent the Commission's involvement? Secondly, what are the national, regional, and local socio-political factors influencing the landscape that should be considered as part of the strategic planning process? Third, how do stakeholders, including the many stakeholders Commissioner Branzo described earlier, commissioners, staff, art professionals, the general public, and many more, what is the perception of both the role and the impact of the Commission? 4, to what extent are the current services and programs, grants, technical assistance, and beyond, reaching communities? And what are those barriers to participation? 5, how is the Commission currently collaborating with other organizations and agencies across the landscape? And lastly, in what ways do internal processes, procedures, and resource allocation support or constrain those efforts and impact, including an alignment with your community-centered framework goals? My colleague Ananya is going to briefly summarize the stakeholder engagement process and data review process we used to answer these questions. Ananya?
Thank you, Dr. Brown. The stakeholder engagement conducted as part of this needs assessment between January and March of 2026 was designed with close input and feedback from CAH and included 17 interviews with Commission staff leaders and commissioners, with 5 focus groups from each of the Commission's departments and units, and over 400 respondents across 2 stakeholder surveys, of whom included current and recent grant applicants, recipients, and panelists, current art professionals, residents, and community members, agency or organizational collaborators, and CAH commissioners and staff. During this collection period, adjustments were made in collaboration with CAH staff to extend the engagement period and include a wider range of stakeholder voices. Details of this stakeholder engagement would be in the report shared with commissioners and in the public CAH strategic planning website that is regularly updated. Thank you to everyone who took the time to participate in this process. In addition to this, Opportunity Consulting analyzed some key organizational documents and recent surveys over the past few years, including prior strategic plans, CAH's Equity Task Force recommendations, and more. I will now hand this presentation back to Dr. Brown to present a summary and facilitate discussion of the assessment's findings.
Great, thank you. All right, let's get to the interesting part, folks. So some considerations to keep in mind as we run through this overview. First is that these findings likely affirm what you already know and challenge some of those perspectives. So there's likely a little bit of both. Secondly, the findings are all interrelated. We've tried to parse them out into distinct points relative to the research questions, but the findings are interrelated. The findings also represent a snapshot in time. We found that even some of the answers to these questions and the key facts were evolving, even just the data collection period. And that is the nature of the public sector and government and all that is true in our ecosystem right now. For everything we are presenting today, there is more detail available. We likely won't be able to provide all those details tonight, but we will keep close record of your questions for follow-up as appropriate. And as Director Myers referred to earlier, tonight we are not expecting a decision or action. Tonight is an opportunity to voice over and have some dialogue about the findings and identify what clarifications or further information you need to support the future design and what stands out to you as most important to prioritize, attend to, or take action on in the next 3 years. So we're going to take these key findings one by one. First, the DC arts and humanities ecosystem is rich in talent and diversity, but strained by the affordability crisis, capacity and connection gaps, and persistent equity challenges. These challenges demand connection, resources, and professional support. This likely is not a surprise. These are evergreen challenges we've seen in previous documentation of the Commission's strategic planning efforts in recent years and long ago years. But the current conditions, political, economic, and otherwise, are exacerbating these concerns. Secondly, as the Commission navigates the resource constraints that were described earlier today, as well as the shifting policy environment and impending political challenges at the city level, it will require strategic discipline, transparent prioritization, and stronger communication. As you know, as a funding and capacity building organization, there is always going to be greater demand than you can meet, just period, end of sentence. But we know that as purse strings get tighter, there are constraints that get handed to you, as have been described tonight, and there are also trade-offs that you make in your own discretionary decision making. As those purse strings get tighter in that environment, your decisions and the allocation of funding in particular will be under even greater scrutiny as folks are concerned about what they get and what they don't get, and what they see and what they don't see. And so it'll be even more important for there to be alignment and transparency so that the why, what, and how you fund, support, and lead is well understood and effective. Number 3, the Commission is well respected as an anchor, artist-centric funder. Stakeholders do hope that the Commission could play a more explicit and effective role as a broader ecosystem leader beyond the funding, in acknowledgement of some of the ways in which you have done that to date. What does it mean to be artist-centric? This means a lot of different things to a lot of different people, and there could be some opportunity to define that explicitly for your stakeholders. And some of that we actually heard in the featured speakers tonight and in the exchange with the chair during public comment. What some of your stakeholders are looking for and what some of you as leaders see an opportunity to do is to use your platform to provide a broader ecosystem leadership role in advocacy, in convening, in creating brokered relationships, and other ways to serve as an ecosystem leader. But doing so is going to take time, labor, and effort. And doing so will require defining priorities, deliberate planning, and efficient execution within that work, as well as in the grant-making work. Number 4, as we sought out to learn who is being served by the Commission, we came to a couple of conclusions. As stated here, the Commission has continued to grow its applicant base, its grantees, its programming due to a combination of a lot of effort as well as funding, technical assistance, and engagement. Determining whether or not this reach is sufficient, equitable, or aligned with your goals cannot yet be determined because those goals are not yet as clear as they could be, and there are not yet completely aligned data sets to do that efficiently, transparently, and publicly. While there are some data gaps, there is plenty of data to tell a story about who you serve and has served in recent years. That data right now is a little bit hidden. You have untapped potential for transparency about who is served and the impact of those funds. This will be even more important when there are fewer resources to go around, which goes back to finding number 2. Number 5, the absence of a clear shared strategic priority and the infrastructure to plan, progress monitor, and manage performance against those priorities is a barrier to effectiveness and efficiency. And this is true across grant making, outreach, collaboration, and talent development functions. The staff and its leaders are working very hard to deliver against what I would describe as a relentless annual cycle of grant making that requires a significant amount of time and labor and process and accommodations and grantee-centric efforts, some of which, again, we heard about tonight. And they are doing that work while also trying to innovate around outreach and collaborations and these beyond the grant impact. Our observation is that sometimes when the work is that relentless, it can be a challenge to prioritize some of the internal infrastructure improvements that would make the work more efficient, more effective, and more fulfilling. The recent launch of the new grant platform, I believe it's called Submittable, but I always get the name wrong, is a good example of such a process being put in place, but perhaps not even having enough time, labor, and effort to fully maximize and optimize what is a pretty significant systems improvement for the organization that has been quite a long time coming, and that folks around the categories of stakeholders are excited and optimistic about. And lastly, number 6, the team right now is incredibly committed and skilled, and there is also a clear sense that culture is improving and governance foundation has been strengthened. But those continued gaps in the strategic alignment, operational leadership, and some issues regarding the clarity of roles, systems, and data infrastructure continue to undermine effectiveness and efficiency. Not in any way that is a particular blame toward any one individual, department, or function or feature, but just again, due to the overall operational load that is on this organization due to the significant charge and work that it has to deliver on. With those findings in mind, we have offered a set of considerations and recommendations that are really just from our perspective. They are not vetted and endorsed by the staff or the governance committee or anyone in particular. They are our takeaways from a third-party perspective with these findings. They are meant to serve as fodder for the future, and there is additional detail in the report, which we can discuss as you are interested to do so. Number 1, a priority for the strategic plan we would suggest would be to establish plans, routines, and clear roles and responsibilities for all 3 of these things: the long-term planning, the annual planning, and the annual performance management. You can see even in the presentations, just in this meeting, if this is the only meeting you've attended, that there's real skill around the table and there's real orientation to being deliberate and detail-oriented and aligned, and putting some of that power, that talent power, towards some of these key nested and aligned functions we think would take a lot of burden off of the planning, progress monitoring, performance management process, and just needs a little time and attention. Secondly, refine and clarify and communicate your grant-making strategy and funding model across the portfolio. Some of the details that you are describing and discussing in your work, some of the constraints that you are under, some of the trade-offs that are decided upon, much of that is opaque. It's not clear to those that are looking from the outside. It's particularly complicated. B, people are working hard every day to do what they need to do in their life and aren't necessarily seeing the bigger picture. And it can be really difficult to see the decision making behind the decision making. Secondly, the staff has a lot of insight and ideas about innovation that come from their interactions with grantees and applicants and panelists across the years of work. And the revamp process that exists already is a great foundation for this process. There's an opportunity to inject some steroids into that process and make it an even more thoughtful, deliberate, and innovative process that will help address some of the really large questions in front of you as funding and resources are constrained. Number three, leverage the introduction of this. Oh, I apologize for my typo though there. That should say leverage the introduction of a new grant platform to strengthen internal workflows to address pain points. To some degree, the current processes have been digitized into this new platform. And again, that is great and significant progress. You already heard some of that from some of your staff members tonight, but there really is an opportunity to step back and really map the process A to Z, soup to nuts, all the way through and identify what are those pain points and how might we be able to rethink them based on what's within our control, and how might we leverage this new platform, which is a significant investment in all the ways, to address some of those pain points that exist both internally and externally for applicants and grantees. Number four, build on the inclusive programming that generates skills, communities, and visibility for diverse voices. The events and programming and technical assistance that the Commission provides, both in support of but complementary to the grant making and money that goes out, is incredibly valued and addresses a large number of the challenges, could address some of the challenges that people describe in the community regarding their own skills and lack thereof, their own need for connecting in community. And there's pretty decent data from within your existing feedback on current programming that really points in the direction of you're doing a great job. And is there a way to leverage that for more people in more ways? Now, there is some improvement data in there as well about the way that programming is designed and delivered, where it takes place, that are all opportunities for improvement. But there might really be an opportunity here to take the rich content, particularly in the Business of the Art series and in the connecting opportunities, and scale those in ways that can reach more artists and new artists and some of your participants and stakeholders that are not yet reached through that programming. Number five, embrace your role as an art champion, a champion of the arts, and integrate your signature activities, both those that exist now and those that are planned and intended, like Art Week, into the annual planning process. Too often, some of these non-grant making activities sort of exist outside of the regular annual cycle of planning and allocating staff and progress monitoring and having strong execution. For that work to both be effective and not feel like it is disruptive to the main course of work, it is important that that get integrated into this single actionable plan that takes advantage of resources in efficient ways and can be progress monitored against. Number six, we're almost done. Strengthen governance through clearer roles, structured onboarding, and expanded engagement models. As commissioners expressed across the board that the culture and processes for being a commissioner have improved significantly over the last number of years. And there is a desire to continue to build on that foundation with additional onboarding and training so that there is a consistent way for commissioners to be prepared for and execute on their roles, as well as some questions about the different ways that commissioners are expected to engage with community members and constituents, and ensuring shared understanding and best practices around those roles. There's also some continued request for reinforcement, clarity of staff and commissioner interactions and roles, particularly as it relates to committee efforts. And lastly, addressing gaps in operational leadership and organizational capacity. There are a number of specific concerns and ideas that have come up through the process that can be built upon in the visioning and strategic planning process to address key roles and responsibilities that may be either missing or unclear, and processes that can be fine-tuned for efficiency. Those are our high-level findings and considerations for the process moving forward. From here, what we would like to do is move into discussion, keeping an eye on time. What we had planned to do was a round robin, starting with the chair, then the vice chair, then the governance chair. So we like to give a heads up of who's going first, and want to offer sort of a two-part prompt as we move around the group. One, if there are any burning clarifying questions where there are findings that you would like additional details around, feel free to name those, and we will either respond very briefly or we will take a note for follow-up for later. Perhaps more importantly, for this conversation, what stands out to you as the most important areas that require prioritization, attention, or action in the next 3 years? So for you, based on what you've heard and read, what would you most like to prioritize for the 3-year plan? With that, I'm going to pause and take down my screen, actually, although I can put it back up if we need it, and ask Chairperson Van Lee to kick us off with your clarifying question if you have, or emergent takeaway.
Good. Well, thank you. First, thank you for your good work. You know, I live in the world of consulting, so I understand the challenge sometimes. So thank you for that. My clarifying questions are all around the devil in the details. So, for example, we said that we need stronger communication between whom, with whom, what entities need to communicate better. This notion of a broader ecosystem leader, we understand the convener role and feel very comfortable with that. Advocacy beyond that, I'm not sure. So we need some real clarity around, as we broaden our role as a leader, what does that really mean? We said clear goals and alignment needed. Clearly, I need more specifics on where are the goals not as clear, where are the alignment issues. And I may have written this incorrectly, but I sense that you're saying submittable is not fully leveraged in the way it could be as a platform, or wasn't implemented as well as it could have been, or something. Whatever the the things we need to beyond what we've done submittable, we need that information. And then you talk about gaps in operational leadership and gaps in organizational capacity. Details again. So in all of my cases, I just need some guidance at a little level of detail or two below to really understand how to do that. What's most important to me, and all of this stuff can fit under this, is this definition of our leader role in the ecosystem. Because how we define our role will dictate processes, capabilities, skills, all that sort of thing. So as you are clearer on that broader ecosystem leader role, that will guide the strategy for me and the vision in my mind.
Excellent. Chairperson Van Lee, I'm going to suggest, and I would like your opinion as the chair. I think what we should do is go ahead and go around. Folks may have a level of questions similar to yours. Some of what you described, what you asked for, is in more detail in the report, but if we tackle all of that now, we certainly won't get to everyone.
Right. No,
So I'm
I
thinking,
assume some of the details in the report.
yeah,
Yeah.
so, yeah, and there we can confirm some of that. So are we on board with going around? We'll capture all of this and then go from
Yes.
there?
Yes,
Excellent.
please.
All right. Vice Chair Wharton, you're up.
Hi, I'm just going to piggyback on Reggie's because I had two of his: communication and the operations leadership.
Okay, great. Commissioner Brienza? Oh, you're muted.
I'm now unmuted. I have a clarifying question and then whatever the other thing was. Just it goes to the submittable, and is that being leveraged in a way that sets up a tasks for the staff to do when grants are brought in that then enables the leadership of the agency to have the appropriate data to funnel into any public hearings or public facing documents to continually show our vital impact on the residents of the district. Can we do that? Let's do that. Then the other question I had, which is a little bit in the weeds, because of the role I serve as governance chair, And when new people come onto the commission and they're like, what's going on? And we have all these one-on-one conversations, is really finding a thread that can be pulled that sets up an SOP that enables a really clear structure that is repeatable after all of the people that are on the Zoom are no longer part of the commission, and that it's just always done. This is the documents that are always updated. Like, let's do that. We can do it. It's already kind of exists, but we just gotta like oil it all up and make it just work. Okay, that's it for me.
As we transition to whoever wants to come off mute next, I will say that last line is kind of the theme. Much of this is right there, like it's right below the surface, and it's just a number, from our perspective, a number of things that just need a little bit of love and attention to just get them over that one little hump. Let's see what commissioner would like to share next. Does anyone else want to come off mute?
I mean, I can play MC if you wish,
Thank
just
you.
by how
Yes,
people appear on my screen.
wonderful.
So we did Julian, we did Gretchen. Hector?
My yes, thank you very much for this opportunity. My considerations are basically on the issue of communication because I have seen actually tremendous growth in that arena. The part that I still find is that we are still having gaps in terms of the perception of the difficulty and the challenge being able to even approach um the commission and how to solve issues of grant writing and or actually even how to submit a grant and how very complex. I'm dealing with a particular, this is more like in the weeds sort of thing. I'm dealing with an individual that is fascinated with a new theme of trying to see some of her artwork to be presented. And she's an older woman, and the technology aspects that are required to just use the submittable form and all the data that you have to bring in is unsurmountable, and the challenge is very, very high from her perspective, of course. Now, we know that that's required, but how do we simplify it? And I think that in many ways, there has been a tremendous sensitivity to that, and it's growing. And the sessions that are open to grantee, candidates is very important. But the issue is still, how do you make it known to invite people to take advantage of these kinds of questions? And that's the part that is hard. It's like deep rooted communication within the community.
Thank you. Janice?
Thank you. I'm also thinking about communication when I think of next 3 years. And for me, when I heard that, my first thought was vertical and horizontal, not just amongst the commissioners and outgoing to the public, but also from the commissioners down to all of our admin staff, all the everyone who is under this DCCAH tent. Thank you.
Thanks. Maggie? You're on mute.
Sorry about that. Thank
No
you.
problem.
I was actually just typing in that I'm supposed to be on a 7:15 call, but I was actually present for that governance meeting and heard the beginning of that presentation, and was really, I think, I'm not sure that I have critical feedback because I don't know that I've been around long enough to do it. I do think communication in the next 3 years with a new audience of artists, a new generation of communication in general, is going to be the way in which the commission ingratiates itself and stays really current with the community of artists who maybe aren't as familiar with the presence that the commission should have and could have in their lives moving forward. But I have to say, I mean, I've only been on this for a little over a year now, and it's clear that the general assessment and general knowledge of the commission and the impact that it's making has dynamically changed. The opinion has dynamically changed. I don't know if that is a critical piece of feedback in this, but I do think it's very interesting to think about. I know submittable, I've heard that been brought up a few times, but the level of efficiency and how much efficiency and sort of automation that can exist is I think, something that I'm curious to know how we can become more current in that way, through all the different channels that AI is providing us now.
Thanks. Cecily? Are you with us, Cecily? There you are.
Yeah, I am here, but I am in the middle of bath time. I'm so sorry. So I'm gonna have to submit something a little later, okay?
Okay, I'm sure you can email to them or set up a separate conversation with them.
That'd be perfect. Thank you.
Great, thank you, thank you. Cora?
I pretty much echo what you said.
Demetrius? Demetrius? Kimber?
I would also echo a lot of what's been said around communication. I also think I would underscore this point of like operationalizing some of the words that we use a lot in our language, like artist-centric or, capacity building. Like, what does that mean to us versus different constituent groups? And so I think the more in our communication as well that we gain more alignment and really kind of bring those terms that are frequently used to life, I think is also really important, because I think sometimes different groups believe that they're speaking the same and talking the same or referencing the same, and how they would define that in action, right? Like, okay, so what does it actually look like? Give examples of what that looks like when we are successfully executing on some of those things, I think is going to be important, so that how we all define success in our communication and in the work that we're doing in these coming years, that we have alignment at the start of what we're going to define success as.
Great, thank you. Dave, is Dave with us? He was. I think we may have lost Dave. And did Demetrius come back? He's still there, we're on mute. That's my list.
Great. All good questions, most of which are answerable. If not now, then that's the work to do in the strategic planning process, right? Is to set those goals and provide that clarity. So we will take that charge. I see Commissioner Butler is experiencing audio issues. Commissioner Butler, we also can follow up one-on-one or take your comments electronically as is convenient for you. Looking ahead, this committee will be supported in a structured visioning session, as has been previewed on May 13th. And in advance of that conversation, we will share with you some guiding prompts. That will not, just a fair warning, that will not be a presentation. That will be a working discussion where really it is about facilitating dialogue and ideas and generating some goals from the commissioners yourselves. So be prepared to work in that session. And then looking ahead further than that, there will be an open, once we get to the draft plan, there will be further opportunities for public engagement, both digitally, in person, and asynchronously. So more information to come on those fronts. Chairperson Van Lee, I believe that is all we have for you tonight.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for your work again, and thank you for the additional work you're going to do to get us over the finish line here. We appreciate it. That concludes all the committee reports. Is there any unfinished business? If not, we can proceed to new business. Is there any new business? Hearing none, we shall proceed to close the meeting. The next meeting of the commission will be held Monday, May 18th, 2026 at 5:30 p.m. The time is now 7:20 p.m. and this meeting is adjourned. Thanks, everybody.